Hundreds of curls, maybe thousands by now. Every grip variation, every angle, every movement that promised to be the mass builder that would finally change things. Sets added, finishers burned through, arms shaking by the end of the session. And then the mirror. And the same flat, soft biceps staring back. No peak, no pop, no real density, just arms that work but don't look like they train. That gap between effort and result hits differently than any workout ever could. Months of clean eating, disciplined training, strict form, and still nothing visible to show for it. That's the moment most people start blaming their genetics, telling themselves they're just not built for bigger arms. But the problem almost never lives in the genetics. It lives in the strategy, the sequencing, the execution, the way the basics are being applied. What finally changed things wasn't a new program or a trendy routine. It was going back to fundamentals and doing those fundamentals with absolute precision. 3 exercises executed correctly and in the right order, with one bonus finisher that locks everything in at the end. No fluff, no influencer hacks, just biomechanics, targeted tension, and a structure that actually forces the biceps to respond. Let's get into it. Exercise 1. Incline dumbbell curl. If there's one movement that completely changed the shape of the biceps, this is it. Most people have never felt the long head of the biceps working properly because they've never trained it in a fully lengthened position. The incline dumbbell curl fixes that from the very first rep. When sitting back on a 45-degree incline with the arms hanging naturally behind the torso, something fundamentally different happens compared to a standing curl. The long head of the biceps gets fully stretched before the movement even begins. That pre-stretch position is what most standard curl variations never achieve. And when you curl from that fully lengthened starting point, you're forcing the long head to work through a range of motion that creates a completely different and more complete growth stimulus. This is what builds the peak, the visible roundness at the top of the bicep that makes the arm look impressive, both flexed and relaxed. But the position alone isn't enough. Form has to be locked in completely. The back stays flat against the bench throughout every rep. No leaning forward, no shoulder rocking, no compensating with the upper body. The elbows stay back and fixed in place. The biceps do all the work without any assistance from momentum or body movement. Each rep should have a distinct character. A deep, almost uncomfortable stretch at the bottom, followed by a hard, deliberate squeeze at the top. The tempo is what separates people who just go through the motion from people who actually build something. A slow negative of at least 4 seconds on the way down, followed by a full pause at the top with a complete contraction. That combination of mechanical tension through the stretch and metabolic stress through the sustained contraction covers 2 of the most powerful drivers of muscle growth simultaneously. 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps with strict tempo. The burn will feel completely different from anything a standard curl produces, and the results in the mirror will reflect that difference over weeks of consistent application. If this approach is already shifting how you think about arm training, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. The next exercise targets something most people have been neglecting for years, and building it creates a visible change in arm size that curls alone can never produce. Exercise 2, hammer curl. If incline curls build the peak and carve out the long head, hammer curls are what give the arm that dense, armored appearance, the kind of thickness that makes the arms look powerful even when completely relaxed. This movement doesn't just work the biceps, it directly targets the brachialis and the brachioradialis, 2 muscles that most people either partially engage with poor technique or ignore entirely. The brachialis is particularly important to understand. When it grows, it physically pushes the biceps upward, making them appear taller and more pronounced from the side without the biceps themselves adding any additional size. It's one of the highest leverage improvements available for arm development, and it responds best to exactly the kind of load the hammer curl provides, The neutral grip, palms facing each other throughout the movement, shifts the mechanical advantage away from the biceps brachii and forces the brachialis and brachioradialis to take on the primary workload. When those deeper, undertrained structures develop, the arm gains a density and solidity that standard curls simply cannot produce on their own. Execution determines whether this exercise actually delivers. If the dumbbells are swinging upward and gravity is doing the work on the way down, the stimulus is largely wasted. The elbows stay pinned tightly to the sides from the first rep to the last. They don't drift forward, they don't swing back. They stay fixed as a pivot point while the forearms and upper arms drive the curl. The squeeze at the top is held for a full 2 count on every single rep. The eccentric, the lowering phase, is slow and resisted, taking at least 2 to 3 seconds to complete. That controlled lowering under load is where the deep muscle damage occurs that drives the real growth adaptation. 10 to 12 reps per set, with rest intervals of 60 to 90 seconds to keep the metabolic demand high and blood volume in the muscle elevated. Crossbody hammer curls and cable rope hammer curls are effective variations for adding range or constant tension when variety is needed. But the standard version executed correctly is the foundation everything else builds from. Exercise 3, barbell curl. This is the movement that builds raw mass and fundamental density, the kind of size that makes the arm look serious even before any definition develops. The barbell curl has been a cornerstone of arm training for as long as serious training has existed, and it still occupies that position for good reason. When done right, it's a complete mass builder that loads both heads of the biceps brachii, the brachialis, and portions of the forearm musculature simultaneously. Nothing builds the foundation of the arm more efficiently under controlled, loaded conditions. The problem is that almost nobody does it right. The weight goes up, the ego comes in, the hips start swinging, and what started as a biceps exercise becomes a full body heave. The bar moves, but the arms aren't building. To get real results from the barbell curl, everything extraneous has to be eliminated. Stand tall with feet at shoulder width. The elbows stay pinned to the sides as if anchored there. They don't drift forward as the bar rises. They don't swing backward to generate momentum. The curl happens through the biceps alone, with no contribution from the lower back, the shoulders, or the hips. Pause at the top and feel the full contraction before the bar begins its descent. Then lower slowly, 3 to 4 seconds on the way down, with the biceps actively resisting gravity throughout. That eccentric phase is where the muscle damage happens that forces the body to rebuild the tissue larger and stronger. 6 to 8 reps per set, with strict form maintained across all of them. This is not a movement to push into high rep ranges, it's a strength-focused, density-building lift that belongs in the heavier end of the rep spectrum. Easy bar variations work well for anyone who experiences wrist discomfort, and a reverse grip will shift even more emphasis onto the brachialis for added thickness development. Bonus exercise: preacher curl. Once shape, thickness, and density have been addressed through the first 3 movements, the preacher curl delivers something none of them can fully replicate: complete, enforced isolation without any possibility of momentum or compensation. This is the movement that makes the biceps work with zero assistance from any other structure in the body. The setup is what makes it uniquely effective. With the upper arms braced flat against the pad, the shoulders are entirely removed from the equation. The elbows can't swing forward or backward. The lower back can't assist. The only movement available is the curl itself, which means every single inch of the range of motion is loaded directly onto the biceps with no escape route and no compensation available. From the deepest point of the stretch at the bottom, the long head is fully lengthened in a way that's comparable to the incline curl. But here, the arm position is fixed, so there's no possibility of position drift or form breakdown as the set progresses. The contraction at the top becomes sharp and immediate because there's no momentum or positioning trick that can dilute it. An easy bar is typically most comfortable here due to wrist angle, but a straight bar or individual dumbbells work equally well for anyone who wants to address imbalances between arms. Slow eccentrics, 4 to 5 seconds on the lowering phase, amplify the stimulus significantly, and partial reps at the bottom of the range extend time under tension when full reps are no longer achievable near the end of a set. The weight here should be light enough to maintain complete technique throughout. This is not a movement where ego has any place. 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps performed with clean, deliberate execution and genuine focus on the contraction will produce more meaningful development than 10 sloppy sets of anything else. Finish the arm session here, and the pump will be unlike anything a standard curl routine produces. How to put it all together. Knowing the right exercises is only half of the equation. The sequence in which they're applied determines how much of each exercise's potential actually gets realized. Start the session with barbell curls. The muscle is fresh, the nervous system is firing at full capacity, and the ability to handle real load is at its peak. That's the moment to build density with heavy, controlled reps. 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 8, treating this movement like the primary strength lift of the session, not an accessory. Move next into incline dumbbell curls. The barbell work just created significant tension through the mid-range. Now the long head gets targeted in its fully stretched position to build the peak and address the portion of the bicep that standard curls consistently undertrain. 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps with long controlled negatives and a hard squeeze at the top on every rep. Hammer curls come in third in the 10 to 12 rep range with minimal rest between sets. By this point, the biceps are working hard. The hammer curls add the brachialis and brachioradialis stimulus that builds the raw, dense appearance and pushes the biceps upward for a taller, more developed look. No swinging, no rushing, consistent elbow position throughout. Finish with preacher curls. Drop the weight, raise the focus, and execute 3 sets of 10 to 12 with absolute precision. Optional drop set on the final set for anyone ready to push past failure in a controlled way. This is where the contraction work gets done, isolated, enforced, inescapable. Run this sequence once or twice per week, depending on the overall training split. Mechanical tension from the barbell work, metabolic stress from the hammer curls, muscle damage from the stretch-focused incline curls, and contraction precision from the preacher curls. All 4 growth mechanisms covered in a single, purposeful session. What was the idea that made the most sense to you? Drop it in the comments. If this kind of content makes sense to you, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel.